know just how to do it. I like the way it feels when you leave me and run. But you wanna see my bad side.
Oh, yeah. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening to you two there in the kitchen. We know you're not watching, but you're listening. This is Opanigadondo coming to you live. All right, I think we have to name this, right? But I don't have a name really, but we can call it a podcast, right? Bunny's podcast live. This one is an evening live. So we are going to talk, chat. I don't know what you're going to call it. But today we are going to talk about some sensitive matter of which is also facing our society or our communities at large. It's rare to find a community without this matter being an issue. All right. So today we are going to be diving into that. As you can see in the description down below, what it says, right? So that's what is going to be happening today. We'll be breaking down the case of the 20-year-old woman who got arrested in East London. Why? For concealment of birth after a newborn baby was found in a dustbin. So sad, right? And also, we are going to explore the legal complexities behind a case like this. So, including the definition of what is concealment of birth and how South African law handles cases involving infanticide, okay, or you could call it infanticide, and also foeticide, foeticide, right? Infanticide and foeticide. This is a um, what is called concealment of birth, but concealment of birth would refer to not registering or yes, not registering a birth or a death of a human being. So that's what is concealment of birth is, like not registering someone. There's also concealment of death, right? Not registering someone that is dead. So that is kind of like um, a crime to do that because you have to. And then now this one that we're going to be focusing on is the concealment of birth. In most cases, this is interlinked with infanticide and foeticide. So, what is an infanticide? An infanticide is a killing of an infant, or a fetus, or a foeticide, a killing of fetus. So, killing obviously is a crime. So we will be looking into that today. All right. So we're also having an article here by a retired senior magistrate who is called Louis Radyn. He is a legal expert with years of experience. So in his article, he explains the potential outcomes of this case and sheds light on the broader implications for women's rights and judicial accountability in South Africa. So yeah, this is we're going to use that article throughout this broadcast or this live. With that being said, thank you for coming around and don't forget to, of course, like, share, comment, and subscribe. So yeah, today we are focusing on this. We are going to be talking about the woman who got arrested for concealment of birth. As we are going to look into that, we're also going to get into deeper onto case onto cases like those, and also look at how the South African government tackle these cases. All right, so with that being said, let the show begin. Yeah, let the show begin now. All right, so let us address first and foremost the legal complexities and infanticide and foeticide in South Africa. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna go through this article, and then after that, I'm just gonna the article itself. I'm gonna break down what it meant, some of the legal terms, and some of the terms that you might not be familiar with. So, if you just got in here, please do subscribe, do like, and yeah, man, just show some support. Show your boy some support as we're looking into our first topic of the day. Please, man, don't forget to like, share. Please do comment if you feel like um, there are some of the things that we fact checked, but I'm quite 100%. Everything I'm going to say here is fact checked. So I am not going to be running my mouth or butchering information like most of the peoples. They want the content to trend. I don't. Me, honestly speaking, I don't give there's someone watching or not, but I just have to educate the public about these concepts, about these things that people don't really look into. All right. So this is what I am about to do right now. It's one of those informative channels, even though it is for entertainment at some point, but we need to also feed ourselves with information. Knowledge is power. For me, ignorance is not bliss, but ignorance is an opposite of there. It's a pain, but knowledge is bliss. So I cannot waste this blessing called um having access to information. It's a blessing, so I cannot just take that for granted. And I also would like to share the information that I'm also exposed to, as just also just being curious about what are the other people thinking of this as well. So about things that I'll be talking about. So yeah, man. Um, with that being said, Louis Radyn Blaris, right, who studied in UNISA, is a retired senior magistrate and a High Court assessor at KwaZulu-Natal Division High Court in Pietermaritzburg, right? So in this article, we're gonna first we're gonna look into what is called the concealment of birth. This article was first published then in D Rebus, that's the website, in 2019, all right, April. So this is just a summary of the content of that article by Lewis, and also contains a lot of Latin and legal terminology that I will try to explain. All right. So 2010, Lewis served as an assessor in court, the High Court, for nearly a involved prosecution and judgment surrounding the killing of fetuses and newborns. Very, very sensitive job, and it's traumatizing. Honestly speaking, for me, man, I wouldn't handle that. An area where just legal closure is not always reached. You understand? There's like an ongoing, there's always a question for why is this judgment? Why this judgment? Because it also, the law protects the victim as well as the perpetrator. So in this case, you'd find that the perpetrator is a woman, and then you know what the law, how defending it is when it comes to women's rights, right? They have to listen to a woman. They can't just judge a woman and throw a woman behind the bars just because they are assuming that a woman did something out of intentions, right? They need to dig. Okay. Anyways, so a court ruling doesn't say that's the end of it, because a court ruling in most cases here in South Africa you'd find that women would walk always. So this puts the public to be concerned about the judgments that are kind of like insensitive for women to walk after terminating a life allegedly, because in that time when the mother or the woman is found to be the perpetrator or someone who had committed concealment of birth. Basically, for me, when I look at this, I don't look at it as the law is on the side of humanity, but the law is just caring about census, how many people died and how many people are alive. Because concealment, this law is based on that, on that, as much as it is about death, but it doesn't focus on death. And then death and murder comes along the way because it might result into death, into that. Do you understand? So for me, concealment of birth is more like saying you need to register that a human being is being born. It's not saying you are, or you have committed a crime for giving birth away from a medical care or from an approved or a professional medical facility. But the crime that you've committed has a lot to do with not documenting the arrival of a human being on earth, and how this is going to be seen when an infant or a newborn will be found lying in a dustbin, in a bush, in a in a place where the baby is not supposed to be. And then that's when they will take this into the hands of the law. And then if the mother is found, the mother will also obviously is going to face the law, but the mother as well has rights that need to be protected in all of their processes. So this really is kind of like saying, the court or the law is kind of like insensitive when it comes to this brutal killing of newborns. So the court must respond to community demands for justice beyond simply relying on this is just an allegation, because he who alleges must prove. So if you're saying, I know this woman was pregnant, today she's not, and we're finding a baby next to her house. All right, it happens that it's her baby, and now the baby is dead, the newborn is dead. Where the law needs now to prove if this woman intentionally had put the baby in the condition, or the law have to prove first that the baby was killed before the baby was dumped. See, that doesn't make sense when it comes to that. But then again, recent reports, if you say recent, this is like 8 years after his retirement. This guy's retirement is like 2018. So there was an increase in such cases. Babies were being thrown away. I don't know if because the economy was getting tougher and not easy on people, but a lot of babies were getting thrown away here in South Africa, yes, during Ramaphosa's term, the first term, just a year when he became a president. So this has taken place in regions where immediate action from law enforcement and the judiciary is required. Magistrates have a duty to guide litigants' rights dating back to 1925 with the Rex v. Payne scenario. And then today, judges also expect the litigants to be legally qualified for these cases, right? So they don't just let women walk, or they don't just let women get punished. So, but training on ethical consideration in these complex cases has diminished since the LLB program was like introduced or redesigned. You understand? So they are no longer looking at the ethics most of the time, but they're looking at the rights. In cases involving Section 113 of the General Law Amendment Act 46 of 1935, which addresses concealing the birth of a child, elements of disposal, the dead body, a newborn child, and the intent to conceal birth. This must be proven. So, disposal, for an example, requires intent first for permanency, termination, like getting rid of this baby permanently. So if you don't have that intention, I don't know, then you didn't break the law. The court once ruled that simply placing a stillborn in a box did not mean you've committed this crime. Can you imagine? So to prosecute concealment is not a child's play. The child must be dead at the time the child is found, or when the child was dumped. Do you understand? There's an act that says proof of death is not required because abandoning a living child cannot constitute concealment. Probably you're abandoning a child that is registered. But now when you're abandoning a child that's not registered, isn't that concealment? But then again, that's what the law is saying. So a child is given a status upon the live birth, then they say, okay, this is a human being, right? That means if a fetus is considered alive, only once separated from the mother, that is a person. So, or a living human being, meaning that a child has been separated from the mother and the child is still alive, and then the child loses life after that, that means this is murder. If there was a person involved, if there was a hand of a person involved in that. So, feticide or the killing of a fetus is not murder. It's like abortion. Yeah. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. But then, as for a person to be murdered, that person needs to be alive first. They need to be born alive. Then, if they are found dead, then that's when there is a murder. Because live birth can be proven if the child had breathed. So this one will determine the hydrostatic test, or will be determined by that, actually, whereby the lung tissues will be thrown into water. If they're floating, that means the person did breathe. If they sink, the person did not. But this is being debated for a very long time. But then again, the law is saying if that's the case, the child, if this tissue floats, the child was alive, then this may be a murder, maybe a murder. Do you understand? But if an abandoned child or a breathing infant dies, the mother may face murder then, especially if she was aware of the child's survival, right? Suggesting that delulus it's eventualis. It's called delulus eventualis, meaning direct intent to kill. But on the other hand, if awareness of life at the time of disposal is absent, the mother says, I was not sure if the baby was dead or alive the time I was throwing the baby away or bearing the baby. Then that mother or that perpetrator will be acquitted. An acquittal may be a result. They will walk free. So if you are failing to make a murder conviction, charges of culpable homicide or concealment under this act, then the lady is free to go, even if they found the infant or they found the newborn dead. The baby, I mean, the baby mother will go or will walk. That's law for you, right? Yes, as said as it serves, guys. As said as it serves, right? Yeah, these mothers are killing the babies. It's all said, but the law is like, so what? Protect the woman. They will never get arrested, these women, for killing babies. Perceive this as something that is immoral, all right? But the government, or I mean, sorry, the law doesn't really follow the moral or ethics. It just follows the rights and evidence and all of these procedures that you need to follow. And then the person who may have committed something wrong. Anyways, that's it, guys. Some of the people they do get arrested if they are found guilty, murder, because throwing that you are doing yourself a favor. you are actually doing yourself the opposite of that, because you might find yourself in jail because it's an offense to conceal birth according to Section 113 of the General Law Amendment Act in South Africa. So the lawyers will try and the prosecutors will try to find you guilty so that you can go behind the bars. But you won't go more than 3 years behind bars, ladies. That's how much law, South African law loves you. With that being said, from me, guys, before I close, you must know that the disposal of a newborn baby, it means you are concealing birth, trying to hide that there is someone who has been born. All right, that's sad and that's bad. Don't do that, ladies. If you see someone doing this, shout out because it's your voice. Okay, please do subscribe, comment, share, and like. That being said, thank you for watching and thank you for joining us today once more. Ria Leboga. See you when we see you. See you when we see each other. All right. I'll see you when I look at you again.
I won't fucking pay for it. I'm broke, so why do I pay for it?